The MAGA brain disease seems to be reaching its peak. People across the MAGA world are turning on each other in droves. Earlier this week, Joe Rogan said this on a podcast about his willingness to vote for RFK Jr., which sent shockwaves through an already shaky MAGA foundation.
But they do. That's politics. They do it on the left, they do it on the right. They gaslight you, they manipulate you, they promote narratives. And the only one who's not doing that is Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
You a fan?
Yeah, I am a fan. Yeah, he's the only one that makes sense to me. He's the only one that he doesn't attack people. He attacks actions and ideas, but he's much more reasonable and intelligent.
Now, to be honest, Joe didn't exactly come out and say he was 100% endorsing RFK's presidency. But that doesn't really matter when your fan base is filled with hypersensitive dipshit MAGA cult members. Because as we already knew, the fuck your feelings crowd has a whole lot of feelings. And the reaction to him saying what he said was exactly what we have come to expect from the ultra-reactionary, anger and hate-filled MAGA right. Trump, of course, being terminally online, weighed in immediately, saying, "It'll be interesting to see how loudly Joe Rogan gets booed at the next UFC event, MAGA 2024. Which would be pretty interesting to see. But I sincerely doubt that the UFC fans, despite rampant CTE, would turn their backs on Rogan even for Trump. In fact, the only reason those people cheer for Trump is most likely because of Rogan. Other reactions across the MAGAverse came from top MAGA influencers like the appropriately named Cat Turd, who said he had never been a Joe Rogan fan and couldn't stand him, referred to him as politically dumb and a fucking idiot that voted for Bernie Sanders. Then he posted a poll asking Twitter who was the gayest, low IQ, male blonde joke political infant podcast in the world. Joe Rogan or Joe Rogan? But you notice he left himself out of the poll. I'm sure he'd be pretty surprised by those results. Of course, this is all super ironic, because Cat Turd had posted back in 2022 that Rogan could say anything he wants and there is nothing the left could do about it but cry. It seems like most of the crying is always coming from MAGA morons nowadays, though. Other random grifters on the internet went in on Rogan saying they were pissed, called him a crying little bitch, insinuated he was a communist, of course, and claimed he was squandering his only chance to go down in history as making a real impact. Rogan, however, was not without allies, though, as MAGA mouthpiece Tim Pool came to his defense, tweeting that he thought it was cringe how MAGA diehards were attacking Rogan and burning bridges. Which, of course, Cat Turd responded to, saying Rogan was a podcast bro, diehard fence rider who sent for Bernie, and a man who endorsed weirdo RFK Jr. Remember, these are the same people that claim women are super emotional. But nothing says low T like having an online cat fight because somebody said something mean about the dude you like. And I'm sure Dana White must have caught wind of Rogan's tweet, because immediately following the backlash from Trump supporters, Rogan went on Twitter to flagellate, saying he wasn't actually endorsing RFK Jr., he just really liked him as a person. And ironically, talked about the world needing more civility. Then, of course, he went full Rogan, saying don't take advice from him. Instead, you should take advice from his comedian buddy, who is also poorly informed, Dave Smith. If this isn't a cult, I don't know what is. These people aren't just drinking the Kool-Aid, they are the Kool-Aid. It is ingrained so deep in their being, there is nothing for them but Trump. They have attached themselves to the Trump grift so completely that not only do they not want to give it up, they also don't want you to either. They are watching the chances at easy money swirling as it goes down the drain, and the panic is palpable. If you don't believe me, take a look at this tweet from Tim Pool, which he claims was just an attempt to troll people, where he said he was going to vote for RFK now. Trolling or not, it inspired MAGA to attack him immediately by saying, "You voted for Bernie, you dumb bitch," and they called him a dork. Which does bring up some solid questions about why these dipshits would have supported a person who is the exact moral opposite of the person they support now. I hate to agree with any MAGA moron, but nothing screams I'm a fucking idiot quite like going from a man who is one of the most selfless politicians to one that is the most selfish. RFK Jr. saw this tweet and in desperation mode retweeted it, saying how grateful he was for Tim Pool's support. Clearly not understanding how much of a coward and a sheep people like Tim Pool are. Known garbage human being and head grifter of the incel community, Myron Gaines, responded to RFK's retweet of the endorsement by saying he didn't know what was worse, that RFK thought the tweet was real, or that he had allied himself with Zionists that had fingerprints all over his father's assassination. Super classy. Tim Pool backtracked in record time, assuring the cult that he was voting for the Mandarin Messiah, because after the cult made an example of Kyle Rittenhouse for posting this video, all other cult members had been put on notice.
Hi, I'm Kyle Rittenhouse, Outreach Director for Texas Gun Rights. A lot of people are upset that I said I'm going to be writing in Ron Paul for President of the United States. And that is true. I will be writing in Ron Paul. Unfortunately, Donald Trump had bad advisors making him bad on the Second Amendment, and that is my issue. If you cannot be completely uncompromisable on the Second Amendment, I will not vote for you, and I will write somebody else in. We need champions for the Second Amendment, or our rights will be eaten away and eroded each day. I support my decision, and I have no takebacks.
You know, when you are attempting to hang on to Kyle Rittenhouse, the troops are getting low. None of these people are exactly intellectual heavyweights, but Kyle? I mean, they should have just let him go. But just like the abusers they adore, they know that anyone that leaves the cult could possibly report on their crimes. Cat Turd, who apparently guards the gates to the cult compound, blocked Rittenhouse and tweeted, "Bye forever," that he was a traitor to Trump and he would be forgotten forever. Laverne Spicer went full lunatic, calling him a dumbass, telling him nice young men don't betray their friends, said he was doing things in a ghetto bullshit way, told him not to come crawling back, and told him to go fuck himself. The cult jester Joey Manorino said he wished he would have been found guilty, cried about the money he wasted on him, and said fuck you and the horse you rode in on. Other MAGA cult members started accusing him of being secretly a transgender woman and a psyop, wondered whether he was a crisis actor who played a child in a school shooting or whether he was potentially part of the Freemasons, and even claimed they were going to expose him, as though we didn't already know how shitty of a person Kyle Rittenhouse was. And this doesn't even cover the massive amount of pushback from the MAGA dipshits that don't have millions of followers. But just like Rogan, just like Poole, or just like any cult member trying to do something MAGA doesn't agree with, it only took Rittenhouse 12 hours to realize no one else wanted him, and you don't get to just leave the cult. He immediately threw all of his support behind Trump after claiming to have had conversations with Trump's teams, which we all know is a goddamn lie. Trump cares less about what Rittenhouse thinks than the people that falsely claim to support him. Trump gives a shit about one person's opinion, and that is Trump's opinion. If Rittenhouse opted out tomorrow and took the Kool-Aid Express down to Jonestown, not a single tear would be shed for him. And as if the cult hadn't deteriorated enough yet, Nick Fuentes posted this video.
The Trump movement is dead. It's dead. The real shitlords, the real 4chan people, the channers, all the people from 2016 that brought the meme energy are now gone. They have either quit politics entirely, they are liberal, they are Nazis, there's something else, but they're not on the Trump side.
You know, when the foundation of your movement rests upon the shoulders of 4chan, meme lords, shitposters, and Nazis, it was going to crumble at the first signs of distress. And these people wonder why no one gives two shits about Trump being shot at only a couple weeks ago. No one is invested in this movement. They are only in it for the grift. The influencers, the merchandisers, the politicians, all of them only care about using it to make themselves money and create status. MAGA is not a political movement. MAGA is a pyramid scheme, and all of the people at the bottom are going to feel the brunt of it destroying itself. All of these grifters will just move on to a new grift and act like none of this ever happened. It's weird, and it's a cult. And I hope that in the next couple years, we can make a move back towards sanity. But the only way that is going to happen is if you vote. So don't just sit back and watch the MAGA cult burn itself to the ground. You need to help it out a bit. And you can do that by voting Harris Walls in 2024. But if you aren't totally convinced, check out this video where Jordan Klepper asks a bunch of MAGA supporters why they are weird and what they don't like about Kamala. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Until next time, get educated and get out and vote.